With fear, anxiety, anticipation, and joy, I'm sitting in Bizarro, the famous roller coaster at Six Flags. I start having flashbacks of the events in my life as the roller coaster slowly creeps up to the first drop. Why am I thinking of the past, I wonder? Everything comes from the past, but I know there are more things to come around the next turn. Questions race through my mind. Am I trained enough to be here? Am I skilled enough to be here? Am I wise enough to be here? However, I have no choice. Bizarro is coming to the top of the big drop. Quickly, I decide to toughen up and begin the roller coaster journey of English 117. My first few weeks in class, I worry about not being able to handle the amounts of assignments and tasks I'm asked to complete. However, I see everyone sitting in the seats in front of me and behind me. They, too, are riding the same roller coaster. So if they can do it, why can't I? So I knew that it takes time, dedication, and effort to get through this ride of English 117. Suddenly, I reached the top of the first drop. I've got this, I think. However, soon I was plummeting at a 90-degree angle, trying to figure out what went wrong as I was suspended in my seat. My writing grades were not good. As I got to the bottom of that first steep decline, I realized overconfidence was my issue. I just needed to settle in and do a lot of work. I thought that with improving my writing, I was all set. However, I was wrong. As the roller coaster takes a quick dip through a dark tunnel, I realize that I have so many other things to work on other than writing. One is my speaking, both informal speeches and in discussions. Speeches in front of the class make me timid, and the heated discussions make me overwhelmed. However, through endless practice with my parents, sister, friends, and even in front of the mirror, I start to build some confidence and push myself out of my comfort zone until the uncomfortable becomes comfortable. My newly found confidence becomes evident in my speech on the regression of society and my participation in the discussion on Prometheus and Pandora. With this, I feel that I'm ready for the big twists that lie ahead. Now comes the next thrilling part of the ride, filled with milder falls, twists, and turns. When this part arrives, I feel calm, because after what I had gone through, I realize that I have the tools to handle whatever this exquisite ride throws at me until its very end. There's no time to waste. The first corkscrew approaches. Essays need to be written. I cannot procrastinate. I need to outline, pre-write, write, and revise. I need to make my essays free of simple metaphors, awful transitions, lousy vocabulary words, and lack of thoughtfulness. I find my problems and correct them, thankfully, before the next tunnel and the next set of turns. Just when I think the end is in sight, the roller coaster begins another incline, but not as steep as the first. Still, it is very scary. When I'm asked to explain what I want my words to do to others, I'm stumped. I cannot cross this obstacle to allow myself to freely start writing. But eventually, I learn to let go as Bizarro takes one more plunge and heads into a big turn. We are asked to write a narrative, and it is the first time I allow myself to write freely without caring what my classmates think. I'm not stuck in this barrier anymore. I'm enjoying the ride. I finally find my way. I'm thrilled every time I write a narrative, just like that rush of adrenaline I get when I go up and down the hills on the roller coaster tracks. Another part of my ride worth mentioning is a literary analysis unit. All of the stories we read mesmerized me and influenced me in their own unique way. One specific example is from the short story The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. The powerful vocabulary, the tone and mood, and the imagery all give me insight into another person's technique of writing, allowing me to learn and incorporate it in my own writing. Aside from the literary analysis unit, the movies we watched leave me with a lasting impression. For example, Dead Poets Society, which portrays such a deep and powerful love of poetry that is contagious. In my writing, I write, "The gist of poems cannot be felt by reading, but by feeling it. In order to fulfill this process, our outer selves need to be broken out of the shell. This helps to motivate me to rewrite every single one of my poems later on in the poetry unit in order to make them stronger and even better. Furthermore, the extra essays, speeches, comparisons, rewrites all came together. So I had been enjoying the thrill of the ride, but now came riding on the underground tracks, in other words, poetry. I always loved to read poems, long and short, bitter and sweet, deep and strong. But my struggle came with writing the poems. As Bizarro dives to the left and dives back to the right one more time, I begin to relax. The poems which I've struggled with during the course of English 117 suddenly seem like small obstacles. Before, my poems were never right, and they could not be called poems. I was embarrassed to share my poems or to read them out loud. Now, I face them head on. I keep writing and writing at home on random topics, like an apple or my day. I hope that my extra poem writing will bring me somewhere. My extra writing gives me a source of encouragement. My practice improves my poems. So after a while, I stopped worrying about what other people think. I feel free and I feel confident. My classmates are actually considerate and supportive of my poems. After speeding out of the second dark tunnel, the thrilling ride continues. The research paper. Although it is a huge task that it requires a partner or more than one partner, I am delighted to work with two of my wonderful classmates. Together, we discuss the options other than college after high school. It is a long process that involves hard work, but the end result is superior. With another important assignment done, the ride starts to slow down as it begins to approach the end. Only a few more extra essays and rewrites left, and then comes the sudden jolt. I stop. It's over. I'm so proud of myself for completing this roller coaster ride. It's one of those events that I'll never forget. Confusing, incredible, remarkable, life-changing, one-of-a-kind, and joyful. I'll never be the same person who started out that ride in September, and that's a good thing. By conquering this roller coaster of English 117, I feel that I can conquer anything I want. Perhaps even a bigger and more difficult roller coaster to come.